my brother had run for state rep. This was very Republican down here then, and he ran as a Democrat. He lost by 73 votes, I think. So we had already done a lot of campaigning, particularly in Oak Bluffs, but island-wide, and done a lot of door knocking. And so we did have a background in working on the island. So then, the next thing, the commission came up, and he said, "Well, you're working construction. People are worried about the commission killing all the building on the island."
Right.
So it was sort of a natural thing to think about as a way to get elected. So I did. But I had a lot to learn as I got onto that, and there were a lot of people who had been involved with the Dukes County Commission and probably fought against that Kennedy thing, which I didn't have any part in that.
Yeah.
So, I think I was just a fresh face, sort of, that people weren't worried about, but but I didn't bring a load of experience to it. I was on a learning curve all the time. There were factions that were all they thought about was, well, this is it. Our economy's going to go to hell.
Yeah.
The vineyard had gone through, struggles here. They were worried. The construction business, which isn't what it is today, but it was. There were people who worked in construction for a long time, and we didn't always have jobs. Certainly not mansions to build. So my recollection of that time was we were building, capes, $30,000 capes, and you might have a job waiting, another job waiting, but there was some promise to that. But the economy here did, nobody knew where we were here.
Yeah.
I grew up with the kids in Boston. They had no idea where Martha's Vineyard was.
Wow.
So.
And the Kennedy bill would have really put a stop to all the development that was, or most of the development that was happening.
I think, whether real or not, that was certainly the fear, was that it was just going to become some kind of a undeveloped paradise.
Yeah.
People didn't want the economy to go to hell because somebody in Washington decided this is the way it should be. So and that was the fear. I mean, you can ride through a present day election, and things are built on fear, and so there was, my recollection is there was plenty of fear. So, what were we going to do with the commission? What was going to work? What did we need to protect against? And when I say nobody knew where we were, the economy was a big issue. It never was robust like this, maybe in the 1880s, but certainly not in my early lifetime. When I was a kid, you went up to the hump on Circuit Avenue, and there was nothing beyond that.
Wow.
There were, Emerald Plumber and Emerald Brothers Plumbing, and things that weren't. There weren't certainly not shops on every window. So I think people had real fears that the economy would dip if you cut down on the construction, and they had real fears if you didn't allow as many tourists as you could get on the boat to keep things going. And we were we were just really trying to lay out a simple groundwork for where the commission was going, and that's my memory. Was there were a couple of things that we tried to do, and I think we were effective at that. And maybe they were just important to me, so I wasn't really into the nuts and bolts of what happened in the towns. We tried to keep the towns insular. We tried to protect the roads. which I think, I don't know who brought that up, but I essentially, I'm sure it was within meetings, you can drive on the island your whole life and it's never boring.
Yeah.
And I think that's still true today. And so protecting the roads was key, and protecting the shoreline was key.
Yeah.
We shouldn't scar the shoreline, we shouldn't scar the roads. And it, it's true, it's pretty, other than Vineyard Haven or the Triangle or boat time in Oak Bluffs, or the foot of the Edgartown Road and State Road,
Yeah.
you can drive around the island all day and you're not bored.
Right.
So when I got off the commission, then it wasn't long before I decided I didn't want to be involved in construction my whole life. So I'd been a builder, carpenter, I'd been a plumber. And it wasn't until I was, well into my years of teaching that I decided to run for the commission and run for selectman.
Yeah.
And the reason I ran for selectman, watch out for my brain here, was because Oaks Bluff was trying to get out of the commission.
Oh yeah.
And that to me just didn't seem right. I've always felt the commission has a value, and so I ran to support them staying in Oak Bluffs. Staying in the commission.
Okay.
And they did, and they won by whatever, and I was very happy. And then, whoops! All of a sudden, I'm on the board of selectmen. Now
Yeah.
what?
How long were you a selectman?
18 years.